Hi, welcome to my video on the equation of a line in factored form or the slope x-intercept form, whatever way you want to say it. And this is part 2. We did part 1 in the previous video. Now we're going to do part 2, just an extension. Write each in factored form or x-intercept form. Again, this form is not discussed too often with teachers and textbooks, but I like to do it. Examples. Y equals 2x plus 6, that's the slope-intercept form, but by factoring the 2 out, which is the slope, 2x divided by 2 is x, 6 divided by 2 is 3. So that's your factored form or your x-intercept form. And 2 is your slope, and a negative 3 is your x-intercept. Y equals, take out the negative 5 factor. Negative 5 divided by negative 5 is x. 20 divided by negative 5 is a negative 4. So your slope is negative 5 and your x-intercept is 4. And C, we have a negative a half, subtract 4, so we take out the negative a half, which is the slope. Negative a half divided by negative a half is 1. So now we have negative 4 divided by negative a half. So that's negative 4 times negative 2 over 1. So that gives me a positive 8. And notice negative a half times 8 is negative 4. Checking it out. D, we have factored form, so we take out the negative. That's understood to be a negative 1. So let's just take out the negative 1. So negative divided by negative is positive, so that's an x. Positive divided by negative is a negative, so that's negative 7. So the slope is negative 1 and the x-intercept is 7. And we have to take out the slope, which is 3/4. And 3/4 divided by 3/4 is 1x. And 3/4 divided by 3/4 is 1. Notice the x-intercept form, there's always a 1 in front of the x in the x-intercept form. Only a 1, 1x, 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 1x. So F, the slope x-intercept form, we remove the 2/5, which is 2/5 divided by 2/5 is just x, and a negative 10 divided by 2/5 is a negative 10 times negative 5 over 2, because when you divide, you multiply by the reciprocal, and that's supposed to be just a plus. And 2 into negative 10 goes negative 5, so that gives me a negative 25. Negative 5 times positive 5 is negative 25. Check back. 5 into 25 goes negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. Correct. G, remember now when the x-intercept form is y equals the slope outside of x. I just want to say put an R there. So we have to have it solved for y. So y equals 6x plus 12. It has to be y on the left side and the x and the number on the right side. And we factor out the 6. 6 into 6x goes x. 6 into 12 goes plus 2. And we have to simplify this one. So y is on the left and the x and the numbers are on the right side. So negative 1 becomes plus 1 when you move it over. So that's a minus 3. And we factor out the 3. 3 into 3x goes x. Negative 3 divided by 3 is negative 1. And we have the slope x-intercept form, so let's remove the bracket first. So 4 times x is 4x. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. And let's move the 12 over to the right side to become negative. So y equals 4x minus 8, and 12 is 20. And we factor out the 4. 4x divided by 4 is x. Negative 20 divided by 4 is negative 5. So that's the factored slope x-intercept form, or the factored form. And number J, factor out the 4. 4x divided by 4 is x. 8 divided by 4 is 2. Now I have a few of these done, so now it's your turn if you wish. Practice means pause the video and work these out and play it back to see if you're right. Write each in factored, or what we call the slope x-intercept form. Here we go. Y equals -4 factored out. -4 divided by -4 is x. -4 divided by -4 is +1. And we remove the 3. 3x divided by 3 is x. -15 divided by 3 is -5. And we factor out the 1/4. 1/4 divided by 1/4 is x. And we have, let's see, we have a 2 divided by 1/4, so it's 2 times 4/1, and that gives us +8. And 1/4 of 8 is 2. So when you factor, you take the number and divide by the common factor you're taking out. So 1/4 is the same as times 4/1. So that's an 8. And number 4, 5/6, we're taking it out. So 5/6 divided by 5/6 is 1x. So we have a 15 divided by -5/6. So that's 15 times -6/5. 5 into 15 goes 3. So 3 times -6 is -18. And number 5, we're going to factor out the -7/3. That gives us an x. And we have a -14 divided by -7/3. -14 times -3/7. 7 into -14 goes -2. -2 times -3 is a +6. Check it back. 3 into 6 goes 2. 2 times -7, perfect. And we have to have y equals, so y equals 2x minus 4. When you move the 4 over, it becomes a minus. And we factor out the 2. 2x divided by 2 is x. -4 divided by 2 is -2. And we take out the -3. Reason? Because we have to have a 1 numerical coefficient in front of the x. So -3 divided by -3 is 1x, understood. 3 divided by -3 is -1. Number 8, we have to move plus the -2 to the left side, become a plus. That simplifies to 5x plus 5. Notice there's no x to add on, so we leave that alone, and 3 and 2 gives you 5. Now we remove the -5. -5 divided by -5 is x, just 1. 5 divided by -5 is -1. Number 9, we have to remove the brackets first, so -2x minus 2. -2 times x, -2x, -2 times 1, -2. And now we have to move the 8 over, become negative. Notice -2x minus 2 cannot be added because they're not like terms. So the -8 comes over. It gives me -2x minus 10. And I remove the -2. -2 divided by -2 is 1x. -10 divided by -2 is a +5. And let's see, number 10. So we remove the brackets. So y minus 6 equals 1/3 times x is 1/3 x. And 1/3 times 9, 3 into 9 goes 3. So that gives me 1/3 of 9 is 3. Let's check. 1/3 times 9/1. 3 into 9 goes 3, so these 3. And we move the 6 to the right side to become a +6. So y equals 1/3 x plus 9. And to y equals, we removed 1/3. And 9 divided by 1/3 is the same as 9 times 3 over 1. So it gives me a plus 27. Perfect. And check. 1/3 of 27 is a 9. And number 11. Let's check this one. Let's see. We've got to remove the brackets first. So y minus 6 over 5. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 2/5. So let's see. 2 times 2/5. 2 over 1. So that gives me 2 times 2 is 4. 1 times 5 is 5. Perfect. Now we have to remove the 6 over 5 to the right side. So 4/5. Add on 6/5. So y is equal to 2/5 plus common denominator is 5. So we add 4 and 6 to give us 10. So that gives us, if you go up here, that gives us 2x plus 10 divided by 5 is 2. And we factor out the 2. So 2 into 2x goes x. 2 into 2 goes plus 1. So we have it in the slope x-intercept form or the factored form. And yes, 2 is the slope, -1 is the x-intercept. And over here, number 10, slope is 1/3, and the x-intercept is -27. And let's continue. Now, just to review the different forms, let's have a look at a line passes through the points of -1, -6, and 2, 3. Write the equations in different forms. So the different forms are point slope, slope y-intercept, slope x-intercept. So one of the first thing you need is a slope. So if I write down the 2 points here again, and I need a slope, so the slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I mark this one as x1, y1, x2, y2. Most times, to get the equation of a line, you got to have, most times, you got to have your slope. So, working out the slope, y2 is 3, minus a -6, and 2, subtract -1. And that becomes, double negative is a positive, that becomes a 9. Double negative is a positive, that becomes a 3. So the slope is 3. So, point slope form, let's see, we have a point. Now we could take the -1, -6 with the slope of 3. So the point slope form is y plus 6, 3 outside of x plus 1. Or we could take the point, and I'm just doing the 2 of these now to show you. I could take the point 2, 3 with the slope, so it's a y minus 3, and 3 times x minus 2. So the point slope form is y minus y1, and m times x minus x1 that we reviewed in previous videos. So that's the equation of the line in either one of these points slope form. You can use either point. And the slope y-intercept, we got 2 choices here. We could take either one of these that we have worked out and solve it for y. And I'll just do that now. So I'm going to take the first one. Let's pretend that you worked out the slope. Let's pretend that you plugged the point and the slope in and came up with this point slope formula. And if you multiply, if you solve this for y, 3 times x, 3 times 1, if you solve it for y, that's a minus 6 plus 6 because of minus, y equals 3x minus 3. So the slope y-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So if you did the slope and you did the point slope form first, and then you worked it out, you would have the slope intercept. Y equals, the slope is negative 3. So slope is 3, the y-intercept is negative 3. But there's another way to do it. You could write down the slope y-intercept form, and you could plug in one of the points. It makes no difference which one. Just pick the first one, which is negative 1, negative 6. And we have a slope that we have to work out, which is 3. So if you take this point, which is x and y, and the slope, and sub in here this equation, then you work out what the b is. So if y is negative 6, the slope is 3, x is negative 1, and we're going to solve for b. So negative 6 equals negative 3 plus b. Leave to b on the right side. Don't have so much moving around to do. So b is equal to negative 3. So y equals, the slope is 3, b is negative 3. So you have options of working out different equations. And if you're asked for different forms, different options. And that's what I'm doing here, just doing different options. Now, if you wanted the slope x-intercept form, well, if you have several you could take the slope y-intercept form, which is y equals 3x minus 1, if you have that done, and factor out the 3. 3 and 3x is 1x. Negative 3 divided by 3 is negative 1. So now we have the slope, which is 3, and the x-intercept is 1. That's an option. Or you could work out your slope and work out your x, but you have to go and get one of these forms before you get this one, because you got to get your slope, and then if you got your y-intercept, you get your x-intercept by letting x equal 0. So many forms. You could multiply this one out and get this form and then factor it. So it's your choice. The x-intercept form comes out of the slope x-intercept form, comes out of the slope y-intercept form. That's probably the best way, the safest way to do it. And the factored or slope x-intercept form is not discussed very much for the equation of a line. You won't see it around. You won't see it discussed that much. This form leads to similar form in other topics in math. Examples. Let's talk about what we talk about is the quadratic. Now we talked about quadratic as degree 2, when we're talking about different degrees on an equation or polynomial. Quadratic, degree 2. Quadratic has degree 2. Notice these are linears up here. A line is said to be linear. Line, L-I-N, linear, L-I-N-E-A-R. That's a noun, that's an adjective. So a line has, notice, a degree 1. X is y to the 1, x to the 1, so that's a linear. But a quadratic has a degree 2. But without going on, notice that a linear has 1. See the 1? Has 1 bracket. A quadratic has 2 brackets. So you could have an x minus an r and an x minus an s. These letters here, you got 2 of them. Or you could have a cubic. And a cubic is degree 3. So you could have an x minus r, an x minus s, and you keep on going, just use another letter t. So you got 1, 2, 3. The cubic, the linear is degree 1, quadratic is degree 2, so you got 2 brackets. Cubic is 3, so you got 3 brackets. So you got 3 x-intercepts, the most you can have. And to give you an example of that, I just do minus 1 x plus 2. So notice in a bracket, the x-intercepts are the x-intercepts are 1 and -2. You take the opposite. And over here, if I write down one of these, I got an x plus 4, an x plus 1, and an x minus 3. Again, if you look at it, the x-intercepts are, you take the opposite what's in a bracket. So it's a -4, -1, plus 3. So that will be discussed later, but I just wanted to show you about this x-intercept form for the equation of a line. That takes us to the end of this video, and that's the review of working out the slope x-intercept form, a factored form. If you like my video, click the like button. If you're not a subscriber, click the subscribe button and the notification bell, because there's more videos coming your way. Write a comment on my video if you wish. And visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com. And you have 3 sections. Me talks about my degrees and teaching experience. Section on video talks about the strategy you're going to use to help you learn your math. The section on content talks about the topics I'm going to have on my YouTube channel and the number of videos on each of those topics. And the black font is what's online right now, and the red font is the topics that will be there in the near future. Thank you very much for viewing. Bye-bye.